Hello, this is Vignesh here from Pondicherry Technological University, and I'm in my third year of studies towards a bachelor's in information technology. Let's quickly move on to the agenda. First, we will be deep diving into the problem statement and we'll understand the scenario. Then, we'll analyze the reason behind the integration of Jenkins and Terraform. And finally, we'll have an hands-on demo on the automation of AWS infrastructure using Jenkins and Terraform. So, provisioning an infrastructure in any cloud platform manually can be a tedious task as well as time consuming. These days, software companies must release their products frequently to remove bugs or to introduce new features. Let's say a company has cloud-based products. They will be in a need to provision and manage cloud services on a regular basis, right? These tasks can be handled manually, but that is very inefficient. Is there a better way that we can do in order to optimize the scenario? Yeah, of course. Here comes the methodology called infrastructure as code. IAC allows us to automate the provision of cloud services and resources easier and quicker. It replaces the traditional manual provisioning of infrastructure which uses admin consoles or GUI. In simple words, instead of clicking buttons and going through various displays and tabs to deploy or enable an infrastructure, we only need to use a codified approach. So, developers will just define or code the infrastructure resources in a file and the respective tool will take care of provisioning the resources. For the cloud platform, I will be using Amazon Web Services, and to automate the creation of infrastructure resources in the AWS cloud, Terraform is used. The reason behind the choice towards Terraform is because Terraform offers some extra super features like flexibility, lot of provider plugins, super portability, and a special feature called state file, and so on. Once the Terraform scripts are ready with the resources definition, variables declaration, it can be run with the respective Terraform commands to deploy or provision the infrastructure in the AWS. For continuous integration and continuous deployment, Jenkins is used. GitHub is used for the version control repository for CI purpose. Okay, so now we will see the purpose behind the integration of Jenkins and Terraform. I would like to elaborate or illustrate the reason why I have integrated the Terraform scripts with Jenkins. You know, Jenkins is a free automation server or tool which can automate the parts of software development. It is referred to as an ultimate continuous integration tool written in Java with 1000+ plugins. You may be wondering about why continuous integration is needed here. Let's say there are a group of developers writing Terraform scripts or code to basically create an infrastructure in Google Cloud Platform. And they share a common centralized repository in the GitHub for version controlling as well as code sharing. There is no any doubt that the infra is going to be deployed or provisioned only when all the developers finish their part of work and the final commit is made. So the client who asks for the infra has to wait for a long period of time, and also the developers will come to know about the bugs and errors only after the source code is built. This is where Jenkins comes into the picture. Using Jenkins, we can achieve continuous integration. Getting back to the scenario provided Jenkins integrated with the Terraform scripts, each time when a commit is made into the repo, Jenkins will automatically pull the code, build, test, and deploy it. Also, the developers will be notified of the bugs and errors each time they make a commit. This is how CI helps to automate the Terraform scripts. Now let's move on to the demo part. So here is the Terraform code or script that I have created, which basically creates an infrastructure for WordPress. Here the main.tf file contains the resources definition. Providers.tf file contains the provider information, which is the AWS in our case, and the variables.tf file contains the variables declaration. So these three files are now pushed on to the GitHub repository. So let me show that. The repository name is Jenkins Terraform. So here the three Terraform script files are present so that Jenkins can access and also execute through pipeline. So let's now open the AWS management console and go to the EC2 dashboard. And let me open the Jenkins instance. This is the instance where the Jenkins and the Terraform is installed. So let me open that. So this is my Jenkins tool. So here is the pipeline that have been created already and configured. So let me configure that again. So basically this project is parameterized. So parameterized in the sense Jenkins waits for the input in order to build the pipeline. So first, and here you can see the pipeline script that I have made. Here I have stored the security AWS security credentials, that is the access key and secret key ID, in the Jenkins server, in the Jenkins tool provided with the credential binding plugin, so that using this credentials helper method, this is called the credentials helper method, which is a function where I can pass the ID of the security credential, and it returns the value of that ID. Nothing but it returns the access key ID, and also it returns secret key ID, and will be stored in the environment variables. So that's what I'm doing here. So other variables are also environment variables, nothing but I'm referencing the string parameters that I've created here. So all the user inputs will be stored in these environment variables. So the Terraform tool will be executed at first. In the stage 1, the GitHub repository, which is the Jenkins Terraform repository, will be checked out by the Jenkins tool. So secondly, the Terraform init will be executed and the Terraform apply will be executed. So we can see that here. So let me save it and build the pipeline. Okay, so now I am going to build the pipeline. So let me give the input first. So instance type is t2.micro, which is free, that AWS offers us. The process has been started. First, the declarative tool will be installed. So it is installed, and the GitHub repository is also checked. The Terraform init command has been executed. So finally, the Terraform apply is executing. So now the pipeline has been built successfully. Let us check the console output. So first, the GitHub repository has been checked out. The Terraform init command has been executed, and also the Terraform apply command has been executed, which in turn starts the resource creation. So finally, here we can see in the output section we can see the load balancer DNS. But before browsing or launching this load balancer DNS, we will move on to the AWS management console, and let's check whether all the resources have been deployed or not. So yes, the basic the general two instances are installed, and one instance is installed which is created by the auto scaling group. We can check the tags in order to know that. Yeah, so this instance, so this input we have given for our auto scaling group name. So this instance is created by the auto scaling group, and the main instance is here. So this is the instance in which Apache PHP and WordPress is installed, and this instance is within the public subnet, so that it has the public IP address, so users can access through the internet gateway, and also the instances or resources inside the subnet can also access the internet. So we can also check for other instance, that is MySQL. So here the MySQL instance is also installed. So this instance is where the MySQL database is installed, and this is within the private subnet, so that it doesn't have any public IP address. So now let's check on to the security group. So basically we created 3 security groups. Okay, so the first security group is the load balancer security group, which allows all the resources through the HTTP protocol, and the another security group is the security group which is attached to the auto scaling group instance, as well as the Apache PHP WordPress instance. So this security group allows the resources that is accepted by the load balancer, which comes through the HTTP protocol. And now let's check security group for the private subnet instance. So here this particular inbound rule is very, very, very important, which means that this instance has MySQL database, right? So when the other instance needs to access the database, this particular inbound rule must be included with the port number 3306 and the security group that is defined for the autoscaling group and the public subnet instance must be defined as a source here, so that it allows an instance that comes to the port 3306. So we can check for the load balancer and the target group. So the load balancer has been created, which listens to the HTTP protocol and set to the target group that we have created. The target group, which in turn points to the autoscaling group. So everything is clear, and we'll check for the launch configuration. A launch configuration is created named APWPLC, which we have defined in the Terraform template. Using this launch configuration, an autoscaling group is created and configured. So now let's move on to the VPC, nothing but virtual private cloud. Here we can see that a VPC is created. 3 subnets have been created: public, and the another is private, and the another is a extra public subnet. Why we have created this subnet is because the autoscaling group needs at least 2 subnets in different availability zones. That's why I have created this subnet. Now let's check to the route table. So basically this route table is for the private subnet, so that the NAT gateway is created and attached to this subnet as a route, so that the resources and instances within the subnet can access the internet through the NAT gateway, but users cannot access the resources or instances which is within the subnet. So a NAT gateway is created in the public subnet and added as a route in the private subnet's route table. So when it comes to public subnet's route table, users from outside can also access the instances or resources within the public subnet through the internet gateway, as well as the resources or instances within the public subnet can also access the internet through the internet gateway. Basically, the internet gateway is the logical connection between the VPC and the internet. Okay, so nothing but public subnet means both inbound and outbound, and private subnet allows only the outbound, so not inbound. So no one can access an instance or resources within the private subnet, as it doesn't have any public IP. Only the resources within the private subnet can access the internet through the NAT gateway provided with the NAT gateway. So the NAT gateway is created so that it is attached here, and the internet gateway is also created, we can see here. So now let's move on to the Jenkins tool, Jenkins server, and launch the load balancer DNS. So the Apache web server default, so the Apache web server's default page. So now let's enter the database credentials and username. Database name I specified in the Terraform template is WordPress info. The username is Vignesh. So as for the localhost is nothing but the host or the instance that has the MySQL database. So let's move on to the EC2 dashboard and check for the private IP of that MySQL database instance. So we can confirm that the Apache web server is installed perfectly and it is working inside the Apache PHP WordPress instance. So now let's enter the database details. So we can now run the installation. So here you can see the WordPress has been connected to the database. inside the private subnet. So WordPress has been successfully installed. So the username is which I have mentioned and the password that I have mentioned. So now we can use the WordPress. So WordPress is all set, and we can create WordPress sites. As learning is a never-ending process, especially when it comes to the field of IT. Each day we learn new things from new people. The most important thing we must focus on is learning the tactics. Instead of learning a particular thing for a purpose, we must focus on learning how the things work. So what are the things that can be done behind it, and what are the things that cannot be done. So we have to concentrate on all these things while learning a particular thing. I hope I have learned the concepts and tactics behind this use case. Thanks to the TCS team for providing me such beautiful use cases, which really triggers the students and developers to learn and implement such use cases. Thank you.